How is everybody feeling today? So good. I love that I hear more of great than good, isn't it? How is the energy? Well done. I like it. You've been having a good day this morning? A lot of coffee? Good. You won't require any more now. So take a guess. How many colors do you see in this room? The top two colors. Pink and black. Well done. Basically, all of us are noticing what are the colors going on around us. Wonderful. So once again, a very, very good afternoon to everybody out here. I'm Hema. I'm the host for this session today. As much as we call this a panel, I think it's going to be a discussion like every year. So this is fourth time for us here. And again, it is your warmth. It is your camaraderie. It is each of you who bring us here together. Every year, we grow bigger, bolder, with bigger ideas and bigger themes that we discuss. So I would like to take a moment first and thank each of you from the bottom of our heart on behalf of Infosys and my esteemed panelists who are all joining us today. Thank you again. Lovely. Just look at the warmth in this room. Trust me, this is what brings us, like I said. Like, how many of you have been here in the past 3 sessions? Raise hands. Not bad at all. I do recognize a lot of faces out here, so thank you so much. And to those where it is the first time, you're actually in the right time as well. The theme itself is very interesting, right? Now, many of you would have seen the evolution of our conversation. Our conversation started off with women and leadership. It spoke about navigation. It spoke about allyship. It spoke about real journeys. Some of us being vulnerable, talking about what does it take. It spoke about allyship, and I see a wonderful ally sitting there, 2 of the allies out here. Thank you so much, and Alicia, you too. So it spoke about a lot of interesting things. It spoke about transformation. It spoke about our digital journeys. We had close to about 18 to 19 different board members, CXOs, CIOs, CTOs, who have been on the stage in the very same room each year and sharing their experiences. What a brilliant moment to actually hear from them and get motivated as well. So with that, if you look at the evolution of our conversation, today, the theme is the similar one, right, which speaks about women and leadership, but with a new challenge. Gone are the days of AI excitement. It is really about the reality when the rubber hits the road. What is the real experience in the enterprise? So that is what we are really going to talk about and focus about today for the next 35, 40 minutes that we have. Joining me from different enterprises, very large, established enterprises, I have 4 power panelists joining me today. These are 4 individuals and executives who are holding their flag high in their organization, who are truly leading the entire journey out here along with their teams, who are ready here to be with you, share with you very transparently what is the journey looking like, what is the reality for AI to be scaling at an enterprise-wide. And that is the topic we are going to be speaking today. Question to this audience. Do you think AI is challenging the vision? Not really. It's not really challenging the vision. What is it really looking at when it goes to an enterprise? Good data. Second, sound architecture. Third, open governance. And perhaps the 4th one could potentially be workforce, each of us, the way we are going to be interacting, the way we are going to be impacted. So we really talk about these 4 in our segments. Without any further ado, I would love to get my panelists on board. Welcome. We have Lota joining us from Swedbank, please. We have Garima joining us from Pandora. Oops. We have Ida from Telia, and we have Sophia coming from Swedbank. And before I kickstart with my first question, again, I always say this. Lota, you have been with me on this journey since 4 years now, through and through, almost like a co-anchor for me. So thank you for that. I absolutely want to acknowledge. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. And I would like to take a moment and bow to all the four of you. Thank you so very much. I know that each of you have been on your management meetings, conversations, escalations, even when we got 15 minutes to sync up on our conversation. They were having their calls and conversations, but prioritizing this conversation today, traveling from far and wide, it means a lot. Because each of you are influencers, influencing this group here, and I know that each of you in the room will be influencing 100 others outside this room. With that, my first question to you, Lota. What has been your journey like? Can you reflect about the past 12 months? We've seen a lot of AI pilots, but now really moving to impact. What is your journey? If you can share your views, that will be great.
I actually would like to zoom out a bit because I think that AI is not new. I was listening into another speaker a couple of weeks ago saying that I have been working with AI for 30 years. Yeah, but in banks, AI has actually been part of our processes for very many years. I think we have been working with that for 10 to 15 years in fraud monitoring and areas where it has been very relevant. But now it has really taken the next step with the agentic AI zooming in, where it becomes proactive and part of the processes. So it has been a tsunami of new use cases, and we work both top-down with strategic areas where we see that this will really benefit us, and also use cases coming bottom-up from employees having ideas on how to improve smaller things. And all from our legal unit, putting targets on each employee to work on AI tools to improve efficiency, to our customer center, where we summarize all conversations by AI, to also working with proactiveness towards customers. But one of the most important things, I think, is when we kind of start reimagining the processes, putting the AI as the basis, and that work we have started in, for example, software development. So it's both top-down and bottom-up. So it's a lot popping right now and very high interest. But one thing that I think everyone is struggling with, especially us, is how to, or especially us, I think it goes for everyone, but is how to define and measure the value from it, and put KPIs, both from a kind of financial, operational, and tactical perspective. And we haven't untied the knot here. So that is something I really would like to hear from the rest of you. How have you done it?
I work in a retail, a D2C segment at Pandora. And I can say that, yes, we have definitely gone more mature than pilots because of the less regulations in our industry as well. So I see that there are some shifts that we need from leadership and the mindset to be able to also, turn your pilots into the real value, as you were talking about, Lota. So, for example, in the beginning, I think we as our leadership, we clearly could see that where are the pilots which are ground up. But then if you had to scale it in 155 markets, what does it take? Do we have the enough foundation, reserved capacity, and the skills that we needed to scale? So I would say one of the things that we have tried, or we are also in the initial phase. I mean, if you have been using Pandora, we have something called assisted selling called Gemma. That's where we actually used AI now scaling all the markets, where it actually helps the customers to have a personalized product search and assisted selling, right? So that has really gone from pilot to the many markets. And if you ask me the crux of it, it's because we have also invested quite a lot on the foundation, what it's needed to realize the value. The second thing that we did probably differently is the operating model. So how do you do the process of supporting a customer in the stores or online channels? We had to reimagine it for every market, so that we could see that with AI now, since the AI comes with huge potential, what does AI bring on the table? And if we can reimagine it, make it even more better, optimize it, let's go for the new one instead of still trying to fit AI with the existing process. So those are the two things that I think we did differently.
What about yourself?
Yeah, in the telco side, I mean, in Italia now, we have been looking into first which KPI we already have and what AI can enhance, so we can measure still back and see some improvements. So internal use cases, for example, for efficiency, then you look at throughput, precision, quality, and see if AI is helping us to improve those KPIs. Then when you go into other type of use cases, when we look into customer experience and how we interact with customers, then we are measuring maybe with new KPIs, like how many sales interaction we get through AI chatbots, how much is the conversion, or NPS. So depending very much on the use cases and how we have grouped them, we have found either old KPIs to relate to or new KPIs to measure. What about you?
Yeah, we try to measure also. I normally talk about that we have like 3 AI jobs to do in our company. The first one to use AI for personal productivity and easy to measure adoption and like all those things. I think clearly, as with everybody else, we see scaling for software developers. Huge scaling now the last couple of months. Second job is more like how do we transform internal processes? And I must admit, we don't yet see huge scaling there because this requires also so much change. We're running 4 major AI big bets. One, if I just take an example, is in our warranty process. And it's a lot of bouncing in between the customer and us and our suppliers. And yes, we can infuse AI everywhere, but we also have to get the people to adopt to the new process. And that takes time. So it is not fast like this. The third place where we use AI, or our third job, is to use AI to put into it to our software. We're selling a lot of software to our mining customers in Sandvik, and there, of course, it's a huge differentiator that might make people choose our software.
So that's a very interesting setup to this first stage of our conversation. But sorry.
No, but a curious question on this. Have you put any targets on leaders on how to put this into real work in the teams? I don't know. Ida,
Yeah,
have
we
you?
do. We do have it in our scorecards. So we have defined basically some key, let's say, use cases that both internal use cases like adoption of AI for in the development and testing area, for example. So we do have a few KPIs in our scorecard, and we measure it every month. So we're pushing it a bit. Yes.
I think it's easy to get adoption.
I can give an example from my area as well. So we have, like Sophia was mentioning, 4 bets in your company. We have 3 main buckets as well for our company. We call it business growth and predictability. The second one is called the business productivity. So productivity in the business operation processes like manufacturing, supply chain, inward supply chain for the procure materials like silver, gold, for example. And the final one is the corporate efficiency, right? And we have very clear KPIs in all 3 buckets to actually measure on. And we as a leadership team, we also have our personal goals attached with those KPIs, especially the ones who are actually enabling it. So for example, for business growth, we have a very clear matrix about, with help of AI, how much customer reachability have we increased in markets? What's the brand positioning? How much friction points have we removed from the customer journey? On internal productivity, we have a very clear KPIs. Can we do things, so throughput, measuring the throughput of software development lifecycle. Can we do the engineering faster? Can we reduce the workload, overhead, coordination needed in operations, for example, infrastructure maintenance and so on. And the final bit is, again, in manufacturing, more predictability. Like, can we predict what's gonna fail? Like today, I was actually telling my panel here that I had an incident today morning. And now, will AI fix it? No, not yet.
So clearly, I think this is a fantastic examples, right, in terms of every organization, every enterprise have truly moved beyond pilots and truly looking at driving this at scale and measurable. That's very important as well. So look, the market today, analysts say, right, the first 100 million customers for adoption of AI technology and agentic AI is the one that stands out as compared to adoption of social media, as compared to adoption of anything that you speak today, internet, name it. So that is the speed with which everybody is adopting. And I believe at least 1 or 2 core functions of every enterprise is truly, truly leveraging this power of agentic AI. So with that, we need to truly get to the fundamentals and foundations. And I think, Garima, you mentioned a very interesting point during your opening, right, which you said the foundations are really important. So I'm very curious about this, right? You speak about data decisions, and then you have architectural decisions on the other hand. So which one you think is more critical?
Oh, it's hard to choose. It's both. And what I can say that when I talk about foundation and what it takes, and this is actually plays an instrumental role on scaling from pilot to the production. Because without foundation, you absolutely cannot, not in with the volume that we operate in, right? So some of the four pillars that I call it. One is the very clear data slash AI strategy where you got to have a strategy that how many data domains your corporate handle internally, but also for your external operations, which is the business. And then don't go after each and every one of them, right? Because you are not here to clean up all the data. So have a very clear strategy that what are my top 10 strategic data objects. And even then, what I have done at least is that squeeze it down to 3. So we are only going to work on the 3 strategic data objects which are connected to these AI big bets and go after having an architecture which actually supports the full life cycle of cleaning up that data domain. So that's super important because what I see that in industry, we go all wild and start to clean everything. No, I think a focus is extremely important on the foundation because it's a boring job and it's tedious and it takes time. The second one, I would say the platform. Not many companies invest in the platforms. So for example, data platform, again, only used for analytics. No, if you need to scale AI for your transactional operations, you need to have a foundation to support your day-to-day business transactions, internal transactions as well. So having a strong foundation to expose that prepared data for consumers in a standardized way, it's a key. The third one that I mention usually is the governance, because once you are preparing the data, making it available and consumable, what happens is like everybody jumps on it. But the thing is, should everybody have access to it? Because that's where you breach the privacy. So it's very important to have governance on top of what you're exposing and to whom, both for the AI models and for the data. And the final one that, again, I think a lot of people miss, and that has often turned a very good work into not a great success, is operating model. We don't talk about operating model enough. So for example, I have seen organizations hiring CDIOs, nothing bad with it, but are the CDIOs really taking accountability for all the data in the company, or are they just focused on analytics and AI? So that distinction kind of defines the operating model, central or federated, right? So these four, for me at least, has been instrumental in building up the right foundation for AI at scale.
So that's very interesting. But what about your views? Because look, end of the day, she spoke about governance and responsible AI as well. What has been your journey in your respective organizations?
I can start. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the say first, handling data, especially in a telco sector, is very sensitive. I mean, so I think our security and legal department were very fast few years back to actually put in place guidelines on what we can do and what we cannot do with AI and which data we can actually openly publish and so on and so forth. And now, I mean, this governance has been, we moved it into more making sure that we take conscious decision about the investments we take, because these use cases can drive a lot of costs. So we need to have a clear decision on which case we go for, how much would it cost to scale them up. So is there still a business case? And also make or buy decision. I'm fully convinced that we will have plenty of use cases in the very next future, which will come already out of the box. We are not unique in the market. There will be plenty of also partners and platform vendors which will bring a lot of use cases. So before to start investing in our own development and create the complexity ourselves, so we can also take, create an ecosystem of partners and take the best out in the market. So it's always a conscious decision to be taken all the time. So we have put in place a governance. So we don't invent, or reinvent everything from scratch all the times, but be conscious about the decisions we take.
Wonderful. Anything from your end?
Yeah, but we are a bank, so for us, we are extremely regulated. I actually recognize myself very much in what you said, Garima. We have started very heavily with creating the foundation and also the law and order in the data domains and putting a robust structure around it. So because data is kind of everything for us, and we can't jeopardize on the data. So when we want to create a position where we have everything secure and safe, and then you can explore from that one and build use cases based on the need and the value from that one. But I really believe in that if you have a strong foundation, then you are much speedier in scaling. So it goes from data, the governance, and also building, having the right tooling, and also the right structure for the AI platform, so you can kind of shift if you want new large language models or you want to build new ones, but you have a scalable foundation and platform, then you can speed up.
Wonderful. So we have heard two segments. Segment one was really focused on looking at, is your AI enterprise ready at scale? So that's what we heard, views from each of you. The second segment was really about the foundations in terms of data, architecture, governance, and workforce in that sense. That brings me down to my third segment right now. Technology aside, we are all humans working for humans. We are all society coming together, right? So I think it's important to really put a focus on this third theme as well. So Ida, this is for you in particular. So from a culture, organization, leadership standpoint, right, how are you seeing the impact as such?
Yes, of course all of us have a lot of thoughts when we read, especially. But if I have to say what I've seen until now, I've seen a lot of curiosity. We are a company of technicians, so we are engineers, so everybody's so engaged. So all of us want to work with AI. So if I would say the problem at the beginning was that when we start working on AI, we decided to create a center of excellence very close by to the analytics team. So we say, okay, they know the data, and then we extend it to AI. And then soon after, the rest of the organization was like, what about us? We also want to work with AI. And those guys don't know so much the processes, and they don't know my domain. So why should they be the one working on AI only? So we had to react quite quickly and reorganize ourselves, blend those people, making sure that they work together every day, because both skill sets are needed, and they will blend over time. So our role, as leaders, is making sure that we don't create even more division with this, when these new trends come in. So we don't create a pool of people that feel like I'm engaged and I'm working on the most coolest stuff in the market, and the rest feel a little bit slowed down. So that's a bit our journey. So now we change the operating model, we change the way we work together, making sure we create a new skill set by blending competencies together.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting.
What's your experience, Sophia?
I think you're spot on. I think many companies started with like an AI center of excellence, but with the scaling now, it's clear that we cannot have, even if it's 50, 100, 10 people in that team, they cannot fix AI, because AI needs to be everywhere. So that's the way we all started, and I think we're all now trying to think that if we have like product teams, if that's what we go for, AI needs to be in pricing, it needs to be in supply chain planning, it needs to be in needs to be embedded in everything. It cannot be something that is on the side. So AI is now a question for everyone, not just an AI team. That's one thing, and I also put a lot of emphasis on the management. Because I'm in a quite traditional business. Our company has been around since 1862. And that means also, even though they're engineers, they're curious, there's a big journey. So we have put a lot of emphasis on upskilling 400 leaders in AI. And I'm actually also working on an upskilling for my board and my management team right now. So everybody's positive, but it's a big, long journey.
But Sophia, you also mentioned yesterday something that I thought was really good, because I think that it also starts with us to be good examples. And you told about that you had start learning about vibe coding and doing your own experiences. And I really think that is a good example too, to be the leader that uses AI. I try to ask my management team to, have you checked this with AI? What have you done? So we kind of inspire. But one question that I have for you, because I have the good thing in that my CEO, he's very tech savvy. So he's really one of the ones that is pushing the company across to use AI. Have you had that help?
Yeah, my CEO specifically is very mature, but I have a very wide range in the management team. So I have from like 2, 3 on the maturity scale to 10. That is a little bit difficult to cater for, and so you have to have different medicine for different
you
groups.
need to
I
push
think.
them in your
Yes.
smart ways.
Yes.
We have also spent a lot of time for all employees in the company. We have done data and AI culture days, and we have created an AI hub on our common in Teams where everyone is. To explore based on your role. So it's all from expertise for the ones that are really in it to general information for the ones starting off. But we had this one of those days the other week, and it was actually over 2,000 people that was listening in. So it's and I think this is important, that it is everywhere. You need to have a good foundation, but then everyone needs to understand that this is part of my work. I need to work with it.
But what
Can
I'm
I
curious in this is barriers in this organization culture, right? All of us make it sound so easy. Each of you make it sound so easy. But why don't you, Garima, focus, and likewise to each of you as well, talk about some of the barriers in this journey from an organization standpoint, and how did you navigate some of these barriers? And again, to yourself, Sophia, you spoke about you're in the group as well as you're in the mining business. So the kind of leadership is different in each of those. So I would like to see about barriers and navigation.
I'll say that the crowd that I have at Pandora, we have a 2 set of crowd, we call it. One is highly energetic Duracell rabbits who just want to jump on every AI tool available in the market. And of course, giving me the big bills, which I don't like. But then we have the second crowd who is anxious about AI. They don't know enough about AI. And especially the people in the business. As Sophia, I think you also touched on, AI is no longer only a digital thing any longer. It's already in the business. It's already into the tools. So for example, in supply chain, we use O9. In ERPs, we use SAP. Whether you as an organization invest in AI or not, and as a consumer of those flows, if the business people learn AI or not, those will be embedded in the tools.
Yes.
So as an enterprise, you will be forced to learn AI, right? So that's a need of an hour. And we acknowledged that, and we said, okay, how do we first control this highly energetic Duracell rabbits? That's the governance with a clear cap, that this much how far you can go. But for the one who has been lagging behind, I would say, what I did at least, is to have a sit-down sessions with them physically and try to understand their anxiety and then figured out what the anxiety was about. Was it about them not knowing about AI, or was that the resistance because they feel that, oh, if this legacy solution is gone and it's taken over by AI, what will happen to my job and the skill? It's the both. And those are the barriers, as to your point. So how did we, or what's the plan to handle those barriers? I think, at least, again, I'm one of those leaders who has gone from ground to up. So I was an engineer many years back. So I do understand why it's super important to communicate what are we doing, why are we doing, when are we doing, and how, right? So over-communicate this, because I remember one of my leaders told me that change management is not a meeting or a moment, it's a movement that you need to create. And to be able to create that movement, you had to have a continuous dialogues, especially with that the team which is actually lagging behind, and take out that psychological fear that yes, you will not have this job, but you will rather have this job, right? So have that security. Otherwise, you would always face resistance from those people.
Wonderful.
But I think that one thing, change always meets resistance, and it's only a matter of how long will this resistance last, because at some point all new things becomes old, and everyone has kind of adopted. But in this situation we are in, everyone's largest fears, I think, is exactly what you mentioned. What will happen with my work? And I think there are some things that also, if you're an old company, we actually were founded 1820, so you can imagine how much legacy we have. But we have so many processes that are built on manual handling that when digitalization came, we kind of managed that by putting some digital layers on, but we didn't really reinvent all the processes to become first digital. We did it with some, but very many are still like they always have been. But now, if we are going to be able to work efficiently with AI, agentic AI, we need to kind of reimagine the processes.
Absolutely.
And put AI in the nave of those. And then our people work, and that's a resistance, because it's very difficult to reimagine processes that have been working for decades. And they are working pretty fine. We manage.
And I can cite an example, right? Not from my current company, but one of the company I've worked with. We were one of the front runners in implementing and integrating ChatGPT to help the store co-workers so that they can find about product information quickly, right? We being in a digital, we were enthusiastic about it, and we were like, we did great. We are the front runner in the ChatGPT. And we rolled it out with all the enthusiasm to all the 35 markets and 500 plus stores.
That clearly seems like a huge
a very radical movement there. And what happened? Then after
Did anybody use it?
I'm coming to that. So after 3 months, we went back on getting the survey of the colleagues who works in the store in the front line to see that how is it working. And they're like, we have, instead of becoming more productive, we have got 30% unproductive because we don't know how to use it. So this is a perfect example of that. From a technology perspective, it was all good, all perfect, front runner. But if the consumers are not able to use it, and here it was our fault, because as a digital, we never thought that it's our responsibility to train the workers who are in the front line on the business, right? And that was the biggest learning we took from them.
That is a good segue for me to almost the fourth section. I'm already getting somebody saying, hey, you have 10 minutes to go. But I love this competition. I am legacy, here is another legacy in terms of organizations. But that brings me to a very important segment here, which is about our workforce. It is really about outlook. It is really about what are we doing. What are those jobs and roles, for example, that are getting impacted, and hence where we see a change, for example, the role of leadership as well. And in terms of skilling, upskilling, reskilling, so I would definitely want to have that section, a conversation around this. For example, at Infosys, our management is extremely clear. Right from our founder, he literally told all his management team, next strategic meeting and session, do your vibing session. He made sure that all our business leaders, each of us, go back and present our business plans through a vibing session. So we have to be hands-on. So 2 things that is working for us is being, 1, very intentional about making this upskilling and reskilling happen. And second, being very, very clear about how are you measuring and giving, and I would love to give the numbers. We are at 330,000 employees globally. We are close to 93%, which is about 323,000 of our employees are already AI aware. We, of course, have AI builders. We have a lot of AI masters, but at a bare minimum. So that is the focus we are bringing. But I would love to hear from you, Sophia, in terms of the outlook, right?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's not going to be an option. It's going to be just for survival. But what worries me a little bit is if we look at the figures of Europe compared to Asia and China, we see much higher AI adoption. We see much higher trust in AI. So in my mind, us Europeans, we need to start to move. We need to start moving much faster than we do. So that's one thing that is for sure, and this will affect the jobs, most jobs in our companies. And in the beginning, we didn't really want to talk about it, and we said in the session before, but we just need to say it as it is, and we need to take the discussion up front rather than just trying to hide it or not discuss it. And the obvious one, very interesting, but where I think we might have different views, is the developer role. And that's, of course, one role that is very frequent in our own organizations. But if we just look at where we've seen big change in other places, I think it's really definitely customer service, legal, finance, HR. We're already seeing huge changes. But what about the developer role? We all have lots of developers in our teams, and during the last 4 or 5 months, things have happened with Anthropic and Claude. Huge things has happened, and I think, Garima, you were talking about, what will the impact be, really?
Yeah, I'll tell you my story, Sophia. So when I took up the role as a CTO, one of the first AI bet that I started internally was AI-assisted, AI-augmented coding, right? Including operations. So the entire DevOps cycle, entire SDLC cycle. So now I have been on this journey a year. Of course, I see a major uplift that what Anthropic and Claude can do. But I also now am more aware about what are the risks associated with it as well. So for example, we talked about rising cost, right? I mean, if you look at the commercial model of these tools, they are like, instead of per person, it's per transaction, right? The ones that in the crowd here, if you have used it, it's per transaction. So it just makes it very costlier. So when we did our calculation before in terms of the ROI, the return of investment, so if this much we are paying for a license fee and for MCP transaction fee, how much developers can we reduce? And now I'm in the end of the year, and I don't think we are in a situation where we can reduce. So though no clear ROI, but what I have seen is a very clear amplification. Like now my developers can do more with less. Less in the sense like now they can deliver more from the backlog. Now, one anxiety that stays with me, that yes, and this is a discussion I had with my boss and the CFO lately, that yes, maybe we need to get, we don't need to hire junior developers fresh out of the college, and we need to probably get rid of the low-performing developers. Fine, but my question was, where are we creating the talent pipeline? Because a developer doesn't become a senior in a year or a 2 or a 3. I can tell you from my own story. I became a real mature senior developer after 7 years of experience, after several failures, several successes, and that's where you get your fantastic developer. People are imagining the world of keeping no human in the loop for the SDLC and so on. Practically today and the next 2 years, I don't see that happening.
But isn't it like, just a comment on that one, because the talent pool and how to develop that one, because I got a bit scared when you said we shouldn't hire junior developers.
That's the statement I heard.
Because that I think would be the wrong way to go,
Exactly.
because you need to find the talent pool developing.
Exactly.
But on the right now, we have seen a few companies coming with those very efficient tools, with Claude Code being the one on the top right now, but there will be someone else soon that will outperform them. But what I foresee is that this development will not disappear, it will change. So there will be options that will be, we spoke about open source, or you develop your own models or whatever, but I don't foresee that we can backstep this.
Absolutely not. And I think you pointed out exactly right. I'm saying this is the impression to the non-digital leaders that get to. So now you are investing, let's say, 30, 40 million on a Claude, then you should be able to get rid of that much workforce of that cost. And that's where I get scared, because this is the conversation at least I am bringing on the table in exec board level, that it's not like you could get rid of all junior developers and all this kind of roles, because to be able to, for a developer to become senior, you got to have the talent pipeline. And to your point, as you are saying, Lota, rightly so, that there will be evolvement of the technology. It's not the end. This is not the end where we are living in. But at the same time, will it become completely autonomous? I mean, I have been working on autonomous drive in the auto industry for good 5-7 years, and I haven't seen it even on from going from level 2 to
No.
3.
We did
So-
discuss that, so that.
So I'm a bit
but that's a
skeptic
very
on that.
yeah. So there are interesting views of how various organizations are adopting or how various organizations are having an outlook. But that's very clearly there is a convergence in terms of how one should really start looking at upskilling, reskilling, being intentional, and taking the workforce along. Because all said and done, we are part of the industry. Right? We bring a lot of knowledge as well, and human in the loop is absolutely there. So with that, I've already got a 5-minute hands up here. So what I'll do is very quick rapid round for all the 4 panelists here. And again, when I say it's a rapid round, not a one word, but like a one-liner. So the first question, I'll start with yourself, Sophia, from my left. Look, gone are the days where I say, is diversity needed, important? I'm not even talking about that. So my question to you, each of you here as leaders, what is your responsibility? What is that you are going to do? Make sure that there is an inclusive AI culture in your own organization or in your own remit of influence. What is that one responsibility that you undertake? And on the same note, a call for action to this audience. What would be that one, because next year when I see all of you, we will review this together. What is your one call for action for each of them in the audience? So if you could kind of respond to that, that'll be wonderful, all of you.
I'll start with the first one. Then I think is to take the global perspective, because we have this regionalization now and this race between different parts of the world to win, and we have the leaders and the laggers in AI. I think definitely to promote equal growth, and especially also stronger Europe in terms of AI building. I think that's very important for the future. And if it was one call or advice, I would urge you to do what I did. Not like Arima, I'm not a black belt developer like she is. But I got Claude 3 weeks ago, and I got an old computer for my job that somebody was throwing away, and I'm playing with it. And I have started coded, and it is amazing what you can do. So if it's just something that I think you can do for your own upskilling, it's start to do something a little bit bold that is scary, but you just try it out. It's cool.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Ira.
Yes, so my advice or my call for action is still to remain attached to what is happening around us. We all feel pressured about developing with AI, using AI every day, and we forget that we don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. So I think there is a lot happening, so always reach out through partners, through friends, whatever, and try to reuse as much as possible what is already out there and jumpstart. So a bit about that, and then be ready to change, because we haven't seen anything yet, I think. So it's a continuous change that we need to prepare ourselves in our organization.
What would be a call for action for this group?
Yeah, just change every day. It's just stay curious and change.
Be curious.
Yes.
Awesome. Wonderful. Lota.
No, but I think that look outside of your own environment and see what is happening around you, because your competitors are changing and it's happening a lot around you. So make sure that you understand what is relevant and also what are your hurdles internally, like processes, for example. So, and start with the real problems, and everyone has them in their daily life. You find them, the small ones. And then I think you have said it, both of you, but dare trying.
Awesome.
I think that is the most important, because change is the only static, a wise guy said. So
Beautifully
dare
put.
trying.
Beautifully put. Dare trying. Very interesting. Definitely look outside your circle. That's something we should absolutely look for. Garima.
Yeah, I mean, my advice will be just go bold. One of my reflection is, especially again from real life example, is that a lot of my male colleagues who are very interested in going and trying it, but not a lot of females are showing that enthusiasm. So my call to action to the group would be, go ahead, be bold, Even if it feels scary, go for it. What will happen? What could go wrong? But at the same time, I think be aware about the risks as well. Every piece of technology that we all are, especially our generation, has seen, it's very powerful. Whether it was blockchain before, cloud then, and now AI. Already on AI, we started with conventional AI, now it has gone to agentic. Just try it out, but be a bit also aware about what risk it comes, but don't hold back, because this is no longer in the future. This is a reality of today, and it's the future.
Awesome.
And the final one that I just want to say, that at times I feel that since we have such a powerful piece of technology on the side, we lose our human touch and the creativity. Like, for example, all the resumes I get nowadays, you could clearly see that it's AI generated. And I don't want that. I want to give this message to the audience that use AI as an amplifier, but don't lose the human creativity that each one of you has, because that's what makes you unique. That makes you you.
Awesome. So on that note, each of you are having so many stressful jobs and roles and duties at any given point in time. One word, one of the questions, how do you reset or how do you recharge? Or what is one go-to book that you would recommend to this audience? Yourself?
Okay, I have transformed the dinner cooking.
I love it.
When I had small kids, it was a race of time. Now I do slow cooking.
Beautiful.
It is good.
Slow cooking it is.
Yes.
And I have transcendental meditation.
Beautiful. Meditation it is.
Yeah, and I would like to just say yoga. But so that is really the way to relax very quickly. But on the book side, I would say I started reading a lot of books, but I realized that those books were yesterday's news. So what I try to do now, I have found one source that is often ahead of others, and that is to follow Financial Times, actually.
Fantastic. Garima?
Oh, cakes.
Sorry?
So cakes.
Making cakes.
Yeah.
Or no,
I
I thought you
am
said kicks. That's
I thought
yes,
cakes too.
the makeup, the dresses. Sophia knows that. By the way, she was my ex-manager. So yeah. So cakes, eating cakes. So if I get stressed, if I get a good cake, that
Comes
makes
for
my day.
everything.
So wonderful. A round of So a huge round of applause to each of you for being in this room today. And let me tell you, you are the change. You are the change makers. Please be bold, be curious. We are all here to support each other. We are in the same ocean on different boats, perhaps, but going towards the same destiny or destination, right? So my only request and urge to this group out here is, of course, while being curious, while being bold, enjoy the journey. You will, of course, enjoy the destination once you reach your destination, but enjoy the journey equally. We are at the most interesting times of humankind. So on that note, thank you so much. We have literally 1 or 2 questions for the audience, but do stay back. We always take our quintessential selfie moment. But if there are any 1 or 2 questions in this room. Perfect. Yes.
So I run a small firm myself. So, I mean, all of you guys are running a big organization and leading a movement and representing, I guess, people who are running a small business, perhaps on their own or have a few employees. What will be your word of advice, how we could also ride the tide and, just don't lose ourselves in the process. So I am my own CEO, CFO, and also the chief technology officer. And then also running a family, have small children. There's a lot of things in the mix, right? So what will be your advice to those of us who run a smaller organization?
Wonderful. Can I request one of you?
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
I would say lucky you, because I think AI will democratize this. Suddenly you have an expert legal and an expert procurer and an expert HR person on your team if you use them. They're just there. So I think that will be less differentiating for the big companies with all these central resources, and it's an opportunity to catch up, I think.
And I would like to say one more thing, because I think your team is much bigger than you by those AI employees. But don't lose out on spending time on finding the best version. Just try the one you have on the table, because the most important is to focus on your main business.
Absolutely. That's a good one. Any other questions in the room? Yes, please. I think there are two questions. We'll take both, and that's about it.
Sorry. Hi, Julia, H&M. I'm a colleague from big enterprise as well, and facing the same challenge, and so relevant, this conversation. Do you also face that kind of feeling of kind of constant race as we now enter this AI world, that you're constantly behind, and how you deal with it on a personal level?
So anybody?
Yeah, I can take it. So as you all know, I'm not sure how many of you know, the AI is not a 2020 thing. AI has been invented long back. I started to work with it since 2017. In 2022, the Gen AI came in. And then very soon it became agentic. And now they have been talking about the fully autonomous agents, right? So yes, this thing is evolving very fast than we all think. So how to pace up with it? I would still say that be a bit light-footed on it, because it's evolving at such a fast pace that meanwhile you're investing and fixing up stuff using your conventional LLMs, it has already gone to agents, and now you need new tools and new investment. And none of the enterprises has a lot of money, right? So you got to balance out what you will take out versus what you will put in, because the net on net, the investment is the same. So how I do it? I, again, go very value driven. What's the problem you want AI to solve? Regardless of will you use agentic AI, or even for that matter, just the RPA, IPA, intelligent process automation or robotics, right? Doesn't matter what tech. What problem are you trying to solve? And then decide the tech accordingly.
But the race is on, for sure.
The race is on.
But just be cautiously careful.
But I would say
investment will hurt as well.
Yeah, but don't have that feeling.
Correct.
Because you probably are ahead thinking of very many just by thinking like that. So just be self-confident and continue trying and embracing change, because I think you will never be the winner of every race, and you don't need to be either. Solve the problems and create results, and then you are good enough.
Awesome. Any last question? Because anybody, what's your question, please?
My name is Shomdata. I'm from CGI. I just had a question that, because I work in communication, so we write a lot, and there's a lot of content that we put out, and it's very driven, very focused on a particular target audience or a topic. But of late, I have started noticing that people have a notion that, oh, this text must be AI. Must be. Is there any tips or anything that you follow to change that perception? Because, for example, even if it's like a simple newsletter internally or something that we want to put out, people just have that notion that, oh, there must be AI. How do you think we can change that perception?
Oh, that's
So many
Spontaneously, I right now avoid having AI writing my emails and stuff, because I want them to be me. But I can just imagine that the more I train the model on me, and all the emails that I've ever written, it can also in the end adopt to really be me. And maybe then I will allow it to send my emails. But I see that more as a process, that it needs to understand that Sophia can be a little bit short and she is like this. I don't want to be just a mellanmjölk or something.
On that note, thank you so very much. And a selfie moment. If I request everybody to just come ahead here, and then we